Make crab mac and cheese with me. We're going to use, for our crab meat, actually, Trans-Ocean imitation crab meat. It is gluten-free. It says so in multiple places on this packaging, and according to their website, all of their imitation crab as well as their imitation lobster is gluten-free if you're ever looking for something different to do. So you're going to need your crab meat, some flour. I use Bob Rudsmill's gluten-free baking flour, 1-to-1 baking flour. I find that's what works best for me, but use whatever your preferred flour is. You're going to need some butter, some pasta. I'm going to be using Gorilla's gluten-free penne, and your cheese. I'm using multiple different kinds of cheddar, but you can use whatever kind of cheese works for you, and then you are also going to need some milk. The first step is to boil some pasta water, and then your next step will be to start a roux for the cheese sauce. And then, because I am cooking the crab meat from frozen, I'm going to start this in a frying pan as well. I have my water prepping to boil in the back, and now I'm going to add some butter to the pan to melt for the crab. Now, I actually arguably make roux a little backwards. I put some of my flour in slightly before the butter. I find it works better. Okay, so my butter is melted, and I have added butter to my roux. Now I'm going to add my imitation. I'm going to add a lid to my crab. Now that my butter's melting, I'm just going to stir this a little bit. Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with this part. I like shredding cheese, but it can also be a pain. But I'm going to shred this whole block. My block of cheese is shredded, and I'm going to start with about half of these cheese slices and cut them up into smaller pieces. Alright, and now I'm going to take these larger pieces because they will take longer to melt and add in with my roux and add some milk. My pasta water is boiling, so I am going to add my pasta now that it's at a nice rolling boil. I'm just going to dump the rest of this box in. Make sure that the pasta is fully covered, and it is. And we're just gonna let that cook. Although, actually, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of this pasta. Just to be safe. Worst case scenario, if there's extras, I'll eat it for lunch tomorrow. So every time I add cheese, I'm going to mix this together a little bit and see. So it's already starting to melt, which is a good sign, but I don't want to add too much cheese at once. Here's my boiling pasta. And then here is my crab meat, which I'm going to actually break up now that it's thawed out a little bit more. Break it up into smaller pieces, and then I will turn the heat down and put the lid back on. I actually might I'm going to turn the heat off and put the lid on, that way it stays warm, because when it goes in with the cheese and pasta, it will cook a little bit more. Okay, so now that those cheese slices are mostly melted, I'm going to add in my shredded cheese. Mine's done, so I'm actually going to turn the heat off and drain it. Alright, my pasta has been drained. So I'm actually going to add this, now that it's been drained, back to that pot, because I will be moving the cheese sauce and the crab over into that pot. as they finish. Okay, this is what our cheese is looking like, so I am going to add some more milk. Okay, so this is what we're looking like. It's a little soupy, but it'll thicken as it cools. So I'm gonna add the cheese and the crab to the pasta. So everything's been added together, and I'm just gonna mix it all in so that the cheese is over everything.